org chart, if you don't mind if I just give.
Go right ahead.
So your org chart, you have the classic like clerk treasurer position where like Tony's in charge of his departments. Treasurer's in charge of City Hall. If you're advertising for an administrator position, even if it's a and or, because typically, it is city clerk treasurer / administrator, you're to Dwayne's point, you're asking for a different type of person. And that might require, if you do go that route, a full job description review of, quite frankly, everybody, because you're looking at changing your whole org chart to where it's council, administrator, public works director, deputy clerk, librarian, and it's not I'm not saying that that's a bad way to go at all. I'm just saying that's a different way to go. And then you need your deputy clerk, admin assistant, accounting clerk, whatever you want the titles to be, public utilities clerk, to, if you're gonna go with a pure administrator system where they're not doing the numbers, you're gonna need to revamp those job descriptions to where.
I think that's what Aurora has, right? Isn't Luke, he's just administrator, he doesn't do anything with numbers?
Correct.
Because I remember him telling me that.
Yes, yeah, that is exactly how they're.
So it also creates a thing, like, I know you guys, historically, the council has liked to work with their department heads, which is something that doesn't happen in an administrator city. The council works directly with the administrator, and the administrator talks to the department head after the fact.
That's the technical way it goes, right.
Right.
So that's how the flow chart works, if that's what you go. So that's something to, I guess, just consider, because you'd also hate to have someone apply, come in, and they think it's either a clerk treasurer position or an administrative position. All of a sudden, hey, you need to do this grant application today, and they didn't think that was anything that they were going to be doing. Or if it's an administrator that you hire, but it's still in the job description that they're running payroll. Hey, by the way, it's payroll day tomorrow. You gotta know how to do that. Not necessarily in public that, but you get what I'm saying.
Wouldn't that be able to be covered in the job description even?
Absolutely.
I mean, because when I talked to some of these, so what intrigued me, Tom, is when I talked to Gilbert, White Lakes, Silver Bay, Wabick, there was one other, there was 5. They all have city administrators. Okay. So, but their administrators were still doing some, it can be tweaked so they still do numbers.
You can.
Yes. And that's how these small towns, because they can't afford, most of these small towns like us aren't going to be able to have 2 people or whatever. I mean,
it's not typical though.
No.
If you do have an administrator system, the one of those that you listed that I'm thinking of is exactly how you're describing it, but they didn't change that job description when they went from a clerk treasurer structure to an administrator structure.
So they just changed the title, but not the job description.
Essentially, I mean, there's still a lot of those numbers, responsibilities with that person that was sitting in that chair.
right. Because the way the job description for our clerk treasurer, so administrators typically are in charge of the departments, correct? Right?
Correct.
So in our job description, it says the clerk treasurer directs and supervises all department heads and city employees.
Okay.
But they are under the direction of the city council.
So that's
It's kind of both.
Feeling
Yeah.
it is a little confusing here and that, being that that's really not how, like, very simply put, like, I understand the org chart of like administrator, clerk treasurer. And well, you're right that some of those cities that you mentioned do have the administrator doing some of the numbers stuff.
Yep.
Most of them that I work with do not.
Mm-hmm.
Most do not. If you have an administrator, just like how Tony described it, I mean, they're mostly hands-on with City Hall, absolutely. no doubt about
They're
that.
more into the city planning and all the,
Right, and they might be on committees instead of counselors, they might go sit at a library board meeting, or they might go to, specific fire department meetings, so there's a lot, I mean, hey, there's a lot of decisions to be made by a council with that, with all of this. But all that I think that you just wanna, just be conscious of all the moving parts with, how you really foresee the city going forward with this sort of thing.
Right.
I hope that's helpful, I feel like it's.
Yeah, no, it
No,
is.
good.
It is. So now in the interim then, Sarah, how do you see the job duties and stuff like split? Are you able to do everything? Do you want to move some of your responsibilities to someone else? Like, how are you seeing right now? Because we're potentially
Wow.
2
This is
months
not my
right
first
now,
rodeo. This happened before.
right?
And it was extended. It was probably like a 90-day turnaround or something. I don't fully recall. I think I blocked it out. But, that being said, I'm a lot more, I have another year under my belt, so I'm not as fresh as a newbie. And I also know the workload capacity of the city clerk treasurer in this office is massive. And so that vacancy is massive for our office. Are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make sure the boat stays floating? Absolutely. But I'm asking the council to take great care, because I also think that calling it a clerk treasurer / administrator last time blurred the lines for the clerk that was hired. And I think that I just ask you guys to take your consideration on what you're expecting for the person you're gonna hire, what you want the job description to look like. I feel like personally, the duties within our office are decent. I think it's split up good. There's a reason that the city clerk gets paid what they get paid, because it's a huge, heavy workload. And I think there are people out there that can do it. They do it all the time.
did you think that person thought that they were an administrator?
I think it blurred the lines with the job duties and the job description and the title.
Because nothing changed on the job description, it was still exactly the same. The only place that it was ever brought up was on the job listing. It was never on the job title.
Correct, which is what the applicants applied for, is the clerk treasurer administrator position. So
Okay.
I'm just saying, it blurred the
Yeah.
lines, and I think that could have been prevented by having a clear outline of what you are hiring and who you're hiring for what job and what is expected of them in that job.
I guess I have the same problem. I thought when the last clerk was hired, that it was actually more of an administrative position, because
Never.
we went round and round talking about that. So that was some of my interpretation of what it was at that time.
Okay. Lisa, what did you feel about behind you, Lisa?
The same. The same.
The same? Okay. So that was your perception also then? Okay. All right.
And it's up to you guys, however you want to do it. But
Right,
just
right.
Please consider before we push go on anything, to make sure that you have a clear outline of what we are hiring for.
Right.
I'd rather take our time than posting the position and make sure you know what you're hiring
Yeah.
for than posting it tomorrow, because we want to try to get all the applicants we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We've got to decide whether we're gonna stick the administrator in there, because of what we're talking about. And we'd have to decide tonight if we're gonna post the job immediately. So where do you wanna go?
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, I've never been an administrator type of guy. I think we have a pretty good structure with library, street, PUC, police. I think they run their departments very well. And I think that an administrator isn't really needed, just a damn good clerk treasurer. We need somebody to do the books and be responsible for coordinating everything, pulling in grant money, conducting all of our projects. So And I've seen an administrator in town. I was never impressed with it.
The cities have how
So-
many administrators
One.
titles?
Just one.
Okay.
All the others have been treasurers, clerk treasurer, whatever, so.
Mhm.
So I guess I just lean to a clerk treasurer.
Okay. John, what are your thoughts?
Mine are clerk treasurer, and they have to have either a bookkeeping or accounting background.
Okay, Dwayne?
I'm okay with that as long as this part of the description of the work, that person understands it, because I think that in the past, we haven't had that.
The clerk treasurer directs and supervises all department heads and city employees?
Yep.
That one? They act as the go-between
Huh?
because they're there. Because they're there on a day-to-day basis versus the council isn't. The council's there
Right.
every 2 weeks.
Right. There has to be, I think there's
So
just
it's
has to
the
be more
same.
hands-on management.
Right.
And along with
Not to
that,
say they're not doing a good job, it's just, it's written in there for a reason. I brought that up to a past clerk treasurer, and they didn't agree that should have been in there. So, I mean,
Mhm.
either it is or it isn't, I think it. So.
Mhm.
And a lot depends on who you have in there, our most senior Kathy, I thought did a really good job in coordinating that and departments and working with departments and excellent on accounting and bookkeeping, so. And we were fortunate to have her.
Finish an interim. So what would you like to do in the interim? We need to figure out did Sarah go back to how you were doing it before?
Did that guy come straight out and said he doesn't do payroll?
He
Because I
doesn't,
thought
he
we
doesn't,
talked to him
he
about
doesn't
that.
do books or numbers. What did you say? Numbers.
I think you need to get that
Said
specific.
the same thing last time.
Yeah, but when we asked him about it, he kind of
He was more so willing to do like the day-to-day supervisory HR type of things, not the accounting side of things.
Which if I can just chime in one more time.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable doing the opposite and working with the staff, the department heads, doing the day-to-day, answering the emails for the clerk, any of that. I am very uncomfortable with working the city financials. Never been trained on it. I do the PUC, I do just fine with that, but it's really just, it's a lot less. So my preference is to focus on somebody who can do that, because we're getting money every day that needs to be put where it needs to be. It needs to be done with journal entries and receipts, and this is funding from the state. I mean, there's just so much with that. And my position requires me to be a 40-hour deputy clerk. So even, I really think we need to focus on somebody who's gonna do the financials in that department in the interim.
So, yeah. So what are we going to do in the interim now? What did you guys do last time? Do you remember?
Kathy did a little bit of it.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, we did not hire an interim. That's why it's, we've got to try to get a full-time person in here hired as soon as we can. Because if you look at logistically, not only do we have to hire, but then they've got to find a place up here to live.
Mhm.
And who knows how long that's gonna take. So we just have to sort of decide our job description, get those applications out there and see what we get.
Okay, so then we'll get the job applicant. So any changes to the job description? Let's go from start there. This one that is adopted,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I haven't looked at it that closely recently, but I don't know what I would change.
Okay.
I mean, this has been
So that's what we need,
longstanding,
that's
right?
what we would need to decide, and if we're ready to make a motion or not on the in 15 minutes, at the meeting in 10 minutes. And then is this something you want to review and then maybe do another study session council meeting and then be able to post it? I mean, do you feel comfortable that way?
I think if we're gonna have another study session, it should be done next week, rather than wait 2
Wait
weeks.
till- Yes,
Are you saying you want another study session, or would you like to do a special meeting so you can make a decision after you discuss it further?
That would be better.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because it'd be good to have a study session so we can talk and then we can act on
I
it.
think we're in one of like the end of the month, where we're at 3 weeks before the next council meeting.
You don't think,
We can talk during a regular meeting too. We don't need we don't need a study session. Let's just get together and bang it out during a regular meeting.
well,
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of, if we're sticking with clerk treasurer, I don't see a lot of change here.
Mhm.
What would be the harm in just getting the job posted? And if we need to make some subtle changes in here, do you think that's really gonna change the candidates that we get?
It
I don't
depends
think
on-
so.
I don't know, it depends on
I
what gets changed.
I don't think that's fair. I think that's gonna blur the lines again. Because you're gonna have people that apply before you make the changes, and then maybe they don't comprehend the change. I think it's really gonna blur the line.
I get that.
I think it's
I
worth
mean, I
it
do
to
get
take an
that.
extra week, even if it takes an extra week, to go through your job description so that you don't have any regrets or anything that you wanna change in the future once we start accepting applications. There's nothing that's gonna fall apart in the next week that's going to, and anybody that's gonna be looking for this job, they're probably still gonna be around within the next couple of days. I think it's worth it to go through this and decide if you wanna change the job description.
Yeah, we could schedule a special meeting then next week.
Yeah.
Give you a week to look at everything and then we just do a special
Okay.
council meeting.
Unless you guys decide you don't want anything changed, but that's.
Yeah, that is up to you guys. And so in the interim, like from today and for the next 90 days, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic. We've done it before, and I think that the employees would agree that that went okay. The books weren't done. You're not gonna get an accurate summary of funds from me. You're not gonna, like, the money that's coming in, that we get emails on every day, I can moving forward, I can put that where it's supposed to go.
Mhm.
But there's not a whole lot of financials going to be being done in the clerk's office. We'll have our hands full with the day-to-day, and same thing with like grant applications and stuff. Like, honestly, I don't have experience in that, and
Mhm.
these are big things. We don't want to.
Half-ass it.
Exactly. Thank you for saying the words, because that's how, yeah, we don't want to do that. That's not what we want to do as a city. We
Right.
want to do everything
Right.
clean and right, and it
Right.
just takes some time right in limbo, but that's what it looks like for me. I can handle payroll, I can handle, Kirsten is amazing, and so the two of us, I think, can handle the day-to-days aside from the city side financials.
So Tom,
Yes.
how do you feel about that?
You know, it's standard given the situation that the accounting records are kind of the, like, what do we gotta do today? Well, it's not accounting. We see that definitely makes our job harder, the following year. If that's not cleaned up by the time we get started on things, I mean, that's probably not a surprise to anybody. So, you know, as long as there's the plan in place to get things caught up and getting the right person here, which it sounds like might be what you guys go with as far as like who can get the accounting caught up, then it can wait. I guess, you know, a concern of mine would be, selfish one is getting this 24 out of them too. Because there's a significant amount of
Work. Well, that's what I'm
both our
hoping.
and two cities and-
That's what I'm hoping this Abdo, if we go that route, is able to do for us. So that would be one less,
Sure.
and then it would be like clean and
If you, right, and see, you know, yeah, it's April 15th, 3.5 months into 25. But if they could get you caught up and we would finish the audit for 24, you're gonna have good 2024 numbers. So it might just have to be however you guys decide to catch up with 25. But, you know, I can promise you, we're not gonna produce an audit with a clean opinion. with bad numbers for 2024. If we had to produce one with bad numbers, it would be a bad opinion that we're gonna give on it, and I don't think that that's what anybody wants.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not ideal from our perspective, but it is what it is, and if that's how it's.
Do you have a recommended process maybe, or like at the bare minimum, or can something be split up, or can like
As far as like what we can do to help catch things up, or what?
maybe
what
for the
personally,
city?
Sarah?
Yeah, whatever your recommendation would be for the
Um,
city.
I mean, that's hard, because Sarah listed a lot of the
Yeah,
things that need to get done, and it's kind of like, what is honestly the council's priority in all those things? As far as, because it is gonna be hard with two people to do everything, unless they're willing to work and you're willing to pay a bunch of overtime. So, to see everything getting done timely and accurately, of course, that's what I'm gonna say as an auditor, and that's what you should be doing, right? As an
Yeah, yeah.
auditor, that's what I'm gonna say.
Right.
But as far as a plan in place, it's, you gotta send utility bills out, you gotta pay payroll, you gotta pay your bills. Those are the
Mhm.
obvious big three things. As an auditor, I say reconciling cash is huge because, in this day and age, people don't balance their checkbooks as much as they used to. I have a nice app on my phone that I still do that with, but I don't have my pocket protector.
I'm bad
But
at
it's
that.
important because everybody just looks at their bank account and says, well, I got this much in it right now. If cash is not reconciled, what else is not recorded? What are you, as a council, making decisions financially based on? You're getting them based on the reports you're given. If they're not accurate reports, how do you make educated decision on something? It's difficult to. So while I understand that it gets pushed off, when other things need to get done, those three things I mentioned, and then working with your citizens, which is obviously why you're here, why you have City Hall. It's important to not let that go too far to where it's really difficult to get back to a good spot, which is kind of what we're working on with 24.
Where
Right.
we're kind of at, which is,
Does the contractor have to do like current things?
They do. They could catch you up to like current if you wanted to, I'm sure,
And
Would they-
do like a monthly for us?
until you find somebody or something, yeah. I would
Probably.
still recommend finding someone at some point, like I think that.
Right.
The idea
Not
because-
outsource it all the time, have
Yeah, 'cause
someone
then you're just
in-house.
the worry, yeah, I mean, you can, any of you could go in and get a question answered, you got someone here that's, capable, whereas like, you're one of many when you're outsourcing that sort of work. But yeah, that's
Well,
an option.
I was gonna say, like, it ran really well with these two in the office. It really did, we did fine. Outside of the accounting stuff and trying to keep on top of, 100% of that. So I think if maybe Sarah could have some assistance with that side of things, I really think that a lot of this could.
100%. I was gonna say to you guys real quick, just that, it is my goal, no matter what you guys decide, I feel that the department heads deserve to at least, we're past the first quarter now, and I think that with the revenues and expenditures that we can go back and look at that are for sure, I can get them a ballpark estimate of where they're at currently. Especially if they need to purchase computers or doing projects, I feel like I can give them somewhat of some numbers, but it's a mess and I'm just asking that it's not put on my plate messy.
And I agree with both Tony
Great.
and Sarah that it'll not be fun for everybody, in the short term, but
Right.
you've got very capable people here, so.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else? Because now it's council time, so, no, anything else? All right, so then do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Motion by Lassie, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Pardon, what? Do we adjourn? You don't need motions for, all right, never mind, I'm sorry. I was wondering that,
Yeah.
actually. Okay, so then we'll adjourn the study session and we'll roll into council.
You guys want me to stick around?
Do you want to?
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Well,
It's up to you.
what else do we have?
I'll
I
stay.
don't care. It's up to you. Like, you can chime in anytime you want.
I mean, I'd rather go home and play with my kids, but. if
No, you can go
want me to
home. No, you can go home.
We
I appreciate you coming in, though. I really
Thank you,
do.
Tom.
Thank you. You were very much of a
Thanks,
help.
Tom.
stay.
Happy tax
Don't be
day.
shy. Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do, celebrate tax. day.
Uh-huh.
Celebrate tax day.
Whew.
God, it's tax day. Yeah, my husband called. Did you send the check? No, I did not. You're going to jail when you come back. Okay, let's call this regular meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Lassie,
Here,
Lossing,
Here.
White, absent, Fitzpatrick,
Here.
Duponsit.
Here. Okay, do we do pledge again? We already did the pledge.
we already did it.
Yeah, you don't do it twice, right? Okay. All right, so now we need to adjourn. And our favorite people are here. Adjourn, recess for the local board of appeal and equalization. Do we have that first? When do we have that? What time do we have you on?
5.
Oh, at 5. Okay, so. Alrighty,
So you're just recessing?
we're recessing our regular meeting. Yep. And then now it is the local board of appeal. We do need a motion for that, don't we? Mhm. Mr. Lassie, would you like to make the motion?
I will move that we convene the local board of appeal and equalization.
Okay, motion
I'll
by
second
Lassie
that.
with second by Fitzpatrick. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Take her away.
Hey, I'm Ben Thomas, Deputy County Assessor.
Paul Cherry, appraiser out of the Ely office.
I'm Andrew D. Appraiser out of the UV office.
I have so many questions.
Pat's been working for the department for about 5 months now, so he's
Which one?
Patrick
Patrick?
and Reed.
5 months, welcome.
These are our sales books of
Thank you.
activities in here. and
I always
ballot.
like these.
You've seen all these, I'm sure, Mayor.
Well, I don't know if I've seen all of them. There's some private ones I haven't seen.
Sure. There you go.
I'm spreading out. Let me know if I'm in your way.
Oh, I will.
Just
I'll give you a
nudge
shot.
me.
So every year, our assessment is tested by the sales that occur, and here's at it. This year, there were 17 sales that showed up as arm's length transactions of residential properties. 16 ended up being a study. State requirements are their assessments between 90 and 105% of sale price on average. This year, we fell a little bit low. And we ended up putting a 6% increase on building values throughout the city to get our median ratio up to 95%. So on average, our assessment was 95% of sale prices in the city of Mount in the last year. And that's where we sit today.
So when you say, I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Yes.
So being a realtor and having to work with appraisals and comparable sales and stuff, when you say overall the buildings have gone up 6%, yeah, you said 6%, do you take all the buildings and consider them all the same? Or
Well, we would do the same thing that, a realtor or appraiser would do.
age?
Property, we get age, quality, condition,
Mm-hmm,
size, amenities,
mm-hmm.
use that information to come up with the value.
So-
Along with the land value for other properties.
Okay. And so, I know a lot of times if someone comes in and contests where you have their value at, and then you say that you need to come in and see the inside of the house, what value on the inside are you looking at? Are you looking at like flooring types, like stuff that doesn't really have any appraisal value, or like condition, or?
We're looking at what it would sell for, right? So So you've got, and this was a situation with quite a few sales in town this year that probably, there's 8 or 10 of them it seemed like in town, quite a few, where it sold for quite a bit more than our assessed value. And then when we found out what had gone on inside the house just prior to the sale, it had been just rehabbed right prior to the sale, it wasn't part of the assessment. Right?
Got it.
Because as far as we knew, it was still the old flooring, old windows,
Sure.
old bathroom, old kitchen.
Okay, got it.
And so then when those things did happen, that
Mhm.
property sold for substantially more than our assessed value because it was improved, it was made newer.
Okay, sure.
Through various remodeling projects. And so,
Okay, that makes sense.
just like those things did have an effect on the sale price,
Uh-huh.
they also have an effect on the assessment.
Sure, that makes sense.
And so the better our information, the better our assessment.
Right. And we don't have to pull permits for interior finishes, so you can't base it on the
Right,
value
that's
of the
why-
home plus permits.
That's why, oftentimes it's a surprise to us when it sells for substantially more, because if there wasn't a permit to tell us that remodeling happened, right?
Yeah.
If we never got inside the house.
And likewise, it's a surprise to the taxpayers when they get their assessments. Because they don't realize what houses are selling for in general. Like I hear it, you for sure hear it, and I hear it too.
There was just a guy in our office an hour before we drove down from Ely. It says, I paid $33,000 for this cabin 26 years ago. What do you mean it's worth $350,000? Yeah, I mean, he's not out buying, he's not shopping, right?
No,
But that's what the market is today.
right,
It's different. It's
right.
But like this year, it wasn't crazy, 6% increase in value. We had, similar types of increases throughout the
You-
northeastern part of the county. Nothing big. We put an 8% at Ely. There's a few blips where we would cover a little bit more, and there's some spots where we didn't have to increase them at all.
Right.
It's a moving target every year.
Oh, I know it is. Well, you had to do Babbitt some big jumps over,
That's the other thing. So
Yeah.
last year, we ended up decreasing Babbitt like 5%. It's hard to remember that we actually did that. You keep seeing your tax bill. Last year, we reduced Babbitt 5%. Previous years, we've been doing like 25 and 30 for a couple of years.
yep,
Following more of the sale price.
right,
Because we're just kind of stuck with whatever the buyers and sellers are doing.
right.
We take no joy in it,
I
honestly.
give them your phone number.
It's-
So I have a question in regards to homestead taxing. So at what value, what property value are you capped with homestead credit?
Paul,
I'm sorry, what was that?
Paul's got a photograph remembering for this one.
What value are you capped at for homestead?
$517,200.
Any sense? You have that down to it.
Yeah, so the good thing here on the range though is even if you're over 570,000 on a homestead property, you still get the taconite credit, which was almost doubled in the last year.
Uh-huh.
Our taconite credit had been $320 off of every homesteader's tax bill. Now it's $600.
Okay.
It's paid for by the taconite production of mines.
Right. Yeah, I get that question a lot for people that aren't familiar with it. They're like, why is the value lower? It's because, oh, we got the taconite mines here, and they don't get that. So that's a good thing for the people in the area too. Okay, those are about all my questions. Did you have any? I just want it out there for the public to hear.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you-
It's good. It's good information.
Right. Did you have anyone call and complain?
We've had a few phone calls, talked to some people. No official appeals, right? No official appeals. The new guy's doing a pretty good job.
How long have you been an appraiser?
5 months.
Oh, like just 5 months.
Yeah.
So you're fresh You're fresh. meat.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have a quick question, forgive my ignorance. I just need council members' names on this form,
Yeah.
and then they can go through and sign it,
All of them that are here, even if they're not here, their name is still leave them.
and I can just check that they're absent.
Yep.
And then you guys have all done the training, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Not all of us. We just need, what, one or two, don't we, John?
Yeah,
Maybe one,
Yeah, one.
in attendance.
One in attendance.
I did the training.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So land went up 5% and buildings went up 6% in Babbitt.
Yeah, land went up 5% only on the commercial. That had missed an increase that we gave to residential previously.
Mhm.
So now that evened it back up. So it's not any higher, it's just brought it back up to the residential.
Right.
So we don't have a big commercial district that has high prices.
No, I wish we were able to tax the mine.
There's a lot of value in land.
We'd been, our streets would be gold. Tony, you'd have every equipment possible. All right. Well, I don't know, we don't have anyone, they have to schedule with you, right?
Yeah, so we have to stay here till 6.
Yeah.
Right, no, I know that, but don't they usually tell you if they're coming?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they don't have to.
Okay.
Some people do, but they don't have to tell us. They don't even have to talk to us. They come straight to meet their case with you guys. If they-
Okay,
You guys could go into other business, we could just sit around until
Yeah.
6 o'clock and adjourn at that point, if that pops up.
Were you guys here?
oh, did you go from highest to lowest this time? Must have.
Yep.
Okay.
And then on the back, there's some land sales as well.
I recognize some of them. Okay. Do you have any questions of the council? No? Okay. All right, so. Oh. There you go. All right, so then we will, we won't recess you. We'll keep you live, but we'll go on with our meeting then. Now we get to call the regular meeting to order, or roll call, I mean.
Lassie.
Here.
Lossing.
Here.
White absent. Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Dupont.
Here. Additions or deletions? Oh, no, I'm sorry, public input. I skipped one. Do we have anyone here for public input? Public? Okay, no one is here. Now we have additions or deletions. Looks like we have added a 10D and a 12E. 10D, that's the citywide cleanup?
That was just information added.
Oh, that's
to your
information.
packet.
Oh, added information. Okay, so.
On
So the-
addition, okay.
Yep, the only addition we have is the administrative employee hours, correct? And payroll.
Payroll's on there as a regular employee payroll is 12G.
There it is.
Okay, all right.
Okay, do we have a motion to, any other additions or deletions? Motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the additions and deletions.
Second.
Okay, motion by Fitzpatrick, second by Lassie. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 1st, 2025, and the special meeting of April 10th, 2025. Approve all bills and payrolls as audited by the audit committee, the overtime report, and the correspondence.
I'll move to adopt the consent agenda.
Okay, motion by Lassie. Do we have a second? I'll second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question on one bill,
Mhm.
and this is for Tony. Who else is working on the marina? Braun? Interact?
Braun Intertech was subcontracted by SCH to do the borings.
Okay. Shouldn't SEH be paying them then?
I don't know how they bill that. I don't do the financials on
No.
that.
that's a good question. In my experience, the engineers do pay the subcontractors and we get the SEH bill.
I would think so as well. So I'm not
Yes.
sure. But with this,
Well, wouldn't that come out of the grant money we got?
right, so that's all LCCMR funded.
Yeah, the LCCMR, so this should eventually come out of the LCCMR, shouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the city's not actually paying for that. We'll be reimbursed from LCCMR for that.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not an SEH bill and it's a drawn bill. Maybe that's the way LCCMR wants it.
Well, and like
In my experience with the campground, that was also contracted through SEH, and we did pay, Wagner.
Oh, yeah, we used to pay them directly.
So we would get bills from them, they're just contracted through SEH, so it's not something that we haven't done before.
Okay.
I think it goes both ways. I feel like with the PUC, there was the same thing. We had
Some got paid directly and some.
SEH, but then the other subcontractors all just got covered under the SEH. So we could look into that for you if you wanted.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Are you okay with that answer?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Assy,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White, absent, Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Zupansich.
Yes. Motion carries. Attorney's report.
I don't have anything at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Joel. Unfinished business, Deep Winter Greenhouse Project Memorandum of Understanding. Okay,
You received that from Heather Hohenstein regarding the Deep Winter Greenhouse Project. I did forward it to you, though, but you were on vacation, so I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at that yet. She had just requested an update.
Yeah, I haven't, the mayor and I had a conference call with you.
Yeah. right before you left.
Yeah,
Yep,
so I can look over that and see, did the council discuss in my absence what
We-
they wanted to do with that?
we did not.
Okay.
You can bring it up. Yeah.
Okay. I can, if you would like, I can review
Yeah.
that.
Sure.
It looks like, they're looking for, a lease agreement on that land, so.
Yeah, they have a benefactor that would like to pay for that for them. And so we need to determine if we want to do a lease or what type, or then it was even, I mean, it went a couple different ways. And I guess, were we waiting on them to give us a preferred way or?
That wasn't very clear
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
okay.
call.
Yeah,
Seemed they didn't want to acquire the land for some reason.
mm-hmm,
They just wanted to improve it and
mm-hmm,
have the city continue to
yeah,
own it. But I'm happy to speak with him again and
okay.
get an update.
Yeah, and then I guess we just need to determine if we want to lease it to them or, and how long.
Yeah, what, is there any language for the lease, Joel, or is it open-ended or?
Not that I know of. I have not had a chance to review the MOU in detail, so I can't answer questions on that. Sorry.
Okay, so then we'll just leave that as unfinished business, and then we'll go on to the January 2025 summary of funds.
I don't think anything was changed after the last meeting, and it was just left as unfinished business.
We did get something at the,
Yeah,
I
we
was
did.
gonna grab that too, and I forgot it.
She handed us something.
She handed us something, was that, do you know if that was a summary of funds?
I didn't have time to look at it.
I don't know what
I
it
didn't
was.
see it.
Okay, all right, well, then we'll just leave that as unfinished as well. Let's go on to ordinance number 272, amending ordinance number 137, the city of Babbitt zoning ordinance to rezone parcel 105-0080-00040.
I think we gave it what would amount to, Joel, a first reading at the last meeting. We moved to adopt it and adopt the language, so I'll move we amend the ordinance 137 with ordinance 272 to rezone the 6.45 acres approximately on the east side of Babbitt,
Okay,
as shown on the map.
motion by Lassie. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion?
Sorry, so you said that this is the second reading and it's.
Yeah, we made a motion at the last meeting to rezone, so
Okay.
that would satisfy that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Citywide cleanup day.
We did just get a second bid, for quote that I included in your packet right next to the other one. So I did get 2 quotes for contractors that are willing to do it Saturday.
And that was the hiccup last time.
Yes, so both of the contractors are willing to do a Saturday statewide cleanup from 9 to noon. There's a couple different proposals as far as the logistics between the two. And they are both available for, May 17th, if you guys are interested in continuing forward with a spring statewide cleanup.
A spring cleanup in lieu of a fall cleanup.
in lieu of-
Well, G-Man is cheaper. Right? 30 yard.
Yeah, they're cheaper. They didn't include tipping fees. They didn't mention that. Cost $9.36.
I don't think that the previous people included tipping fees. When we paid the one from last year, we didn't
Just a
include
flat
tipping
rate.
fees, so,
But
yeah.
East Masabi says there's
Plus
tipping
tipping
fees,
fees.
which would increase the price of that
Mhm.
by a little bit. I'm not sure what, but
Typically about 180 per roll off.
And they're charging a flat fee for the special waste plus whatever the dump charges were. G-Men is only gonna charge what the dump charges, or maybe a little bit of an upcharge for the mattresses, TVs, appliances, and tires. So yeah, we would pay $400 flat fee for that service, plus whatever the dump charges.
Okay, well, I think the first thing we should decide is, do you want to do a spring or fall? I know one concern last time was that there was one already done in last fall.
yeah, we did one, in September, was it, or October?
September.
September? So, I guess my preference was the September one works well. It's up to you guys, whether you want to go spring or fall.
Makes no difference to me.
Have you heard any comments from any citizens what their preference is?
I did actually get one call this week asking if we were going to have one soon, and I said it was on this side of that.
Okay, and one. I have no preference, so it's whatever you guys would prefer to do.
Well, I think people are more likely to go in the fall if you get nice days in the spring. A lot of them are gonna go out fishing.
Yep.
Do you know if these prices would carry over to the fall? Or we'd have to do it all over?
Probably have to get a new one.
Okay. All right, so would you like to schedule this for the fall then?
Well, we'll get it moving. I'll move, we have the falls clean up instead of spring.
Okay, motion by Lassie to have a fall cleanup instead of a spring cleanup. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion?
Did we have a
Okay,
date? What was the date last fall?
Usually it's about the second week in September.
After Labor Day.
Yeah, after Labor Day.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will table this till fall-ish. Okay, clerk treasurer wage increase payback receipt. Okay, that is for your information.
Yep.
Who's the first signature?
Me.
Oh, really?
Fancy, huh?
Okay. All righty, committee reports. Motion carries. Committee reports. Do we have any committees to report? None? Perfect. Okay, we're cruising right through here, Jim.
Excellent. Remind you of everybody?
Yeah, right. Okay, new business, MCFOA Clerks Institute.
I put this on here initially before, last week. This is falling on the week of the 5th. I would love to go, but that's a payroll week, and that is a day that I put the bills out, the utility bills for the customers. It's just not gonna happen, but what I do want to ask you guys is, one of the things for this Clerks Institute, and this is the Institute, this is the 40-hour week required to get the certification one, it's not the conference. And so it is important, and I did miss out on my first year. And so now I'll be missing out on a second year. But all I ask is, when you sign up for this, it does say, have you been employed with the city for 1 year? Could I go next year in lieu of a new city clerk? Like, can we make that a rule that the clerk has to be here for a year before we send them, and then I'm on the docket to go next year? Because I would really like to finish off this certification.
I think that's a good requisite to have.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I mean, when we sign up for this, you check the box that says I've been with the city for a year.
Uh-huh.
And so I would just hate to be pushed to the side again with a new clerk who obviously would want the certification as well, but
And there's no way you could work this in with the payroll week?
I don't see how I can just leave the city with Kirsten. I mean, she's amazing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't
that's
have
right.
time to
Forgot
train-
we
I
only
don't
have
have time to
Kirsten
train
left.
her on payroll. I don't have time.
Yeah.
It's just a lot, and I just feel that it better serves you guys, myself, for our sanity and the community to be here. So keep in mind when you see the overtime report, how much money you save on that. Clerk school.
Okay, you'll just have to remind us next year.
I will.
She'll probably print the minutes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we need to establish,
A motion for that?
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
I think.
Maybe
it-
in regards to the 1 year.
Yes, yes, I think
Yeah.
it does have to, right, Joel, if we're gonna set a precedent.
It'll
Yep.
help remind you or whoever's here next year
Yep.
to follow.
Established.
Yep.
I agree with that. All right,
So I'll make a motion that is a prerequisite for going to the training, Clerks Institute training, that you are employed for a full year prior to your first year going.
okay, motion by Lossing. Do we have a second?
Yep. I'll
Second by Lassie. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Joanne Briggs, resignation from the library. Joanne's letters here in the packet for you. She is resigning. How long was she with the library?
10 years.
10 years. Oh,
I'll move we accept the resignation and send her a letter of thanks for her years of service.
okay,
I'll second that.
motion by Lassie, second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Phone and text messaging service on behalf of the city. Is this what we currently have? Is this the program? On your,
This is something that was added to the agenda before.
Okay, this
last
was the
week,
added one.
And this is the proposal for, the first one is a proposal for something that Becky's been working with somebody on. But I threw this in there because Newbie is our new online payment portal, and they provide text messaging and email communications for free. Everything, I think some citizens have signed up, they've been getting our notifications. And I just wanted to show you that in this proposal for Newbie, the city doesn't pay a dime to Newbie. everything was negotiated. They came out with a promotional fee that I was able to hold, even though it was a year and a half later. So a lot of the fees, the monthly fees, the setup fee, everything's waived. So it's free for the city. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
why this is even,
Yeah.
We already have the service.
we already have the
Right.
service.
I think, and she may not have known about Newbie, that it's a way to get information out to the citizens that are not on social media and or don't get the paper. And I mean, it's free, so that's awesome. Provided everyone has a cell phone. Do they call the house too?
Which one?
Newbie,
Well,
Newbie.
No, we don't call the house. We just,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
just,
just a text message or email.
Yeah. okay. Oh, or email, okay, so.
Yeah, so whatever the customer sets up in their account, how they want to be contacted.
And on that note, I think you should also give yourselves a big pat on the back because you might want to segue into the fees.
Yeah, spread the word. The ACH fees that everybody was struggling with and myself as well. We ended up getting those waived. So it's now free to sign up for your online ACH auto pay or ACH payment. If you use a credit card, there's still the credit card fee. So if you're set up on a credit card and you want to swap over to the ACH system, that is free. It's just your routing numbers and your checking account numbers.
So
Use
yes,
it because we can communicate with you. You can view your bills. It doesn't cost anything, even if you don't pay your bills online. You can set up your portal so that you can see them and communicate.
okay, good job.
I might interject. Sarah says we very sparingly. She spent over a year and a half reviewing and re-reviewing and re-reviewing and negotiating and arguing and negotiating this contract, so it was free for the city. She also is the one who spent plenty of time reviewing the contract again after it had been signed and negotiating and arguing and negotiating again to get that fee waived. So she doesn't give herself enough credit, but that was mainly Sarah.
I
Oh,
couldn't have
good
done it
job.
without you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Maybe we'll put you in charge of union negotiations.
Yeah, I sure tried to, I tried to save money on this, because I'm a skinflint. And now here's the deal. I'm not gonna pay that $1.10 a month. I'm gonna pay my bill because I'm up here all the time during the week anyhow. So lo and behold, I thought I was gonna have my garbage bill taken out automatically at the end of March. Hell no, I got charged a late fee. So what did I save? Nothing. So I signed up really quick, I'll guarantee you that.
That's just,
First time
That's
I've been
classic.
delinquent on a bill
that's just
forever.
classic.
Well, you gotta read your council communications. Yeah, I kicked myself for that.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you very much, Sarah. First
Yeah.
time. D, ambulance department hire Garrett Stark. Is anyone?
Emily had a training, so she wasn't able to be here today, but she did interview the individual and check references, and it is her recommendation to move forward and hire them as an EDA.
Okay. Was that the safety, right? Safety committee?
Yeah.
Is that their recommendation then also?
It was just done by the department head, as it has been done that way for the fire department, and there hasn't been a clear.
Okay, that's how it always is? Okay. Again, I'm back on the olden days. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to hire Garrett.
Okay, motion by Fitzpatrick. Do we have a second?
Yep.
Second by Lassie. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lassie, one job. Lassie?
Yes.
Lassie.
Yes.
White, absent. Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, motion carries. Clerk treasurer resignation. There's a resignation in the packet for the clerk treasurer position. Do we have a motion to accept it?
Move to accept?
Motion by Lassie. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White, absent. Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Clerk treasurer position. We discussed this during our study session. So right now, I think we're gonna have a special meeting next week.
Yes.
Is that what it is, or are we just gonna, I can't remember now. Give a chance for everyone to review the job description, and then we'll have a special council meeting next week to determine the position to post, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, actually, didn't Jim, did you decide you wanted to do it at the next, or,
No, he's,
oh, a special meeting so we
right,
can
not,
vote on
not
it?
a study session
Yeah,
yeah,
and a
a
special
meeting
vote,
so
but
we
a
can make-
special meeting
so we
to do
can-
it all at once.
Yeah, so we can finish it.
I just said a special
Yeah.
meeting and no study
Right.
session.
Okay. So do you want, when do you want to have this?
Tuesdays work, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so Tuesday at, what day is, today's Tuesday, okay.
Sorry to interject, would you guys be open to a different date? I'm just out of the office that day and so
Oh.
we'll already have a full day, so I don't wanna.
It makes no difference. to
Monday,
me.
Tuesday,
Let's do Monday.
Monday's holiday.
closed.
What's the
Monday,
holiday
Monday.
Monday?
Easter
The
Monday.
Monday's
Easter
holiday.
Monday.
Okay, looks like it's Wednesday.
Jim, you're not golfing yet, are you?
I do have somewhere to be at 6 o'clock on Wednesday.
We'll get her done, Jim.
All right, promise?
Yep,
Okay,
we
what
don't have a
time?
lot to do, we're just, yeah,
Yeah, it should not take a long time.
4:00?
4 is fine. Yep,
4 p.m.
that'll be plenty of time.
Okay, so special council meeting then on Wednesday, the 23rd at 4 p.m. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty, employee payroll. So, as we discussed some different thoughts during the study session, Sarah will be taking over the payroll, and you would like to go back to calculating, would that be the right word? The vacation, sick time like it used to be with the spreadsheet prior to. Was there anything else you wanted to put on that request of payroll? Or that's the main thing, right?
Yeah, I want to be able to make the necessary adjustments to the staff. To reflect their contracts and their time use. The figuring that was done on this was done very thoroughly, based on payroll, or pay stubs, timesheets, the system, the contracts. So there are numbers that need to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
The employees will be fully aware of it.
Okay,
I don't feel comfortable moving forward
without a motion.
Yeah.
without a
Correct.
motion, but, incorrectly, it's being accumulated incorrectly, and I don't want to continue.
Well, I'm
to do
sure
it
the employees would
incorrectly.
want the correct.
And I'll make a motion, we allow Sarah to do the payroll that she is most comfortable with, and which includes sick time and whatever, vacations
ESST
and
vacation.
whatever is needed.
Okay,
I'll
Alright.
second that.
motion on the floor by Lassie with a second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie,
Yes,
Lossing,
Yes,
White, absent, Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Duponsit.
Yes, motion carries. Deputy Clerk Treasurer, permission to work with auditors on library carryover funds.
I just know that the show must go on, and so really I want to be able to talk with the auditors and get the funds put in the account for Lisa, so she could purchase her computers for summer. And with that being said, with any other of the departments, if I have to work with the auditors on moving around money and getting that taken care of, I want permission from council.
Okay,
I don't see any problem with it.
do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fitzpatrick. Do we have a second by Lossing? You guys are too close
Yeah.
to the same name.
I'm first alphabetically.
All right, any discussion?
Sarah, are you authorized as a signatory
Yes,
You are, okay.
yeah, and I just don't want it to roll into like, oh, Sarah's doing the city funds now. No, I'm not. I just want to make sure that the departments have the money where they need to so that they can spend it and they're not looking at zeros and spending money.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Montague,
Yes.
White absent, Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Zupansich.
Yes, motion carries. So I think we have to sit here for 20 minutes
Well,
now?
suggestion, we
There was
can
a-
recess the council meeting and go into the beta, can't we?
Oh, yeah, we can.
That permissible, Joel?
I'm sorry, what?
So, sorry, not to interrupt, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
there was an addition as well,
Oh,
to
Yeah.
the agenda.
okay.
Administrative hours, is that what it was called?
Where was it?
Administrative employee hours.
Oh, right up here. Administrative employee hours. Okay, sorry about that.
That's just because of the intent of full transparency. We eliminated, or not eliminated, but there's a vacancy in a supervisor position. And so to make this place continue to move forward, there's gonna be some overtime, and I just want the council's blessing to give the administrative office, permission to work the overtime needed, the necessary overtime, and use our casual labor as needed.
Yeah, I think under the circumstances, that's what we should be doing.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
So do I.
All right, do we have, is that your motion? Are
Yeah,
you
I'll
making
make that a
Okay.
motion.
Motion by Lassie. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Second by Lossing. Any discussion?
I hate to jump in on that, but, I guess with some of the grant things that are going on and the end of April and May being the craziest time for us too, there would be an opportunity that I may have to work on some of the grant things that we have happening within the city that could contribute to the same reasons. And hopefully not create overtime, but there's a potential.
Okay, any discussion? I thought you were gonna.
Did you say
something.
grant stuff? Is that what you said, Tony?
We have some grant things that are in progress right now, and then we have, well, there's like 7 grants open citywide, but then there's things that are happening with FEMA too right now. And it looks like we might have an opportunity to actually scoop up some more money on top of what we submitted for, based on some mitigation funds. So in the interest of being able to do all my work, plus what's probably gonna be some extra office work for me, and hopefully it's just a couple hours, but there might be some administrative things on my side that I can do to help carry some of this.
It's fine with me, Tony. You know, we've got to get somebody to pull up the slack. Have you been talking to Nana?
Actually, we're past that. We've
Oh,
we had another individual reach out on this mitigation funds that we might be eligible for, so. I
okay.
don't really know where that's going yet, but
I don't know anything about this. Can you, like, when was this? Do you know anything?
it literally just came the other day.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Do you know where the city's FEMA status is in general?
We're
Because that
sub-
was submitted in
We're
December.
submitted,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
that's all the more status that we have right now, as
Okay.
far as I'm, on that side of things. But then we just got an email the other day from some other crazy name, that I could even begin to pretend that I could pronounce, about some potential for mitigation money, and some of the examples were to raise roadbed levels on gravel roads or add more binder and things to keep them more resistant to flood action. So I guess if we could get some better class 5 for like the Conservation Club Road and the wastewater treatment plant road.
like that.
And then they had a couple of other things in their scope, like possibly upsizing some culverts, things of that nature that actually land on more of a mitigation side of things. So
Okay,
I guess if there's a potential for more money, we should pursue that.
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
and, yeah. Then I think the golf course is still involved in that. We haven't heard anything on that, so.
Yeah, I was able to actually answer a couple of questions that Anna had for the golf course, last week.
Okay,
So I followed up with a couple of people and made sure that they got the appropriate answers on that too. So,
yeah, they sure bury you with paperwork, don't they?
yeah, they're almost the feds. Yeah. it's a
Yep.
good time.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
So-
Oops, sorry.
Well, sorry, Mayor, I think,
Nope, go ahead.
is the motion being adjusted then, or is it still just for administrative staff for the overtime request?
So you-
Well, I
Good
would suggest we add Tony as well to that,
yep, good point.
understanding there will be things that we need to get done.
Okay,
I'll
And our-
second it.
okay. Motion amended by Lassie and seconded by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Lassie,
Yes,
Lossing,
Yes.
White absent, Fitzpatrick,
Yes,
Zupansich.
Yes. Okay, next council meeting will be held May 6th, 2025 at 5 PM.
Don't adjourn yet.
Nope.
we could recess.
You could recess and pick up the EDA in the next 15 minutes.
We probably can do EDA in 15 minutes. We actually have stuff to discuss.
No.
Oh,
Maybe?
maybe, yeah, we do, purchase agreements.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Wait, that's special. All right, so we will recess the meeting and then we will go right into the Economic Development Authority meeting. So we'll call the BETA meeting to order at 10 to 6,
5:45.
5:45, sorry, 5:45?
5:46.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Lassie,
Here,
Lossing,
Yes.
White absent, Fitzpatrick,
here,
Zupansich.
Here. Okay, approve the minutes of the regular meeting held March 18th, or I'm sorry, public input. There's no one here. I know I am off my game today, that, the public input there. All right, approve the minutes of the regular meeting held March
18th.
18th.
I'll move we approve.
Motion by Lassie, do we have a second?
second,
Second. Well, you said it's so tiny. Second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Additions or deletions? Do we have any? Okay, nope. Loan update. I have to,
The one that is behind actually paid today, so everyone is up to date except the property that you're already aware of.
right.
We're kind of in the boat.
I have to
Yep.
say I like this format a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay, on to, unfinished business, industrial park. What's on the unfinished business?
I don't know. Outside of the fact when, the planning commission has not had a regular meeting, we had a special, which I'll talk about when we get into new business.
Okay,
But other than that, we have not
okay,
met on a regular meeting.
okay.
You did just have it indefinitely on your unfinished business.
It's just
But
forever and ever.
the ordinance that you guys adopted at the regular council meeting.
Covered.
Zoning for the 6.45 acre parcel.
Okay. Alrighty. 8, we go on to new business. There is a purchase agreement for lots 15, 16, and 17 in the commercial district there. Joel, do I have to step off even though, because I'm not representing the buyer for this? And I'm representing the city on the listing side.
You're representing the city on the listing side?
Mm-hmm.
You still have to step up.
Okay, because there's
Yeah.
still, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I am now stepping off. All right, so in your packets, there's a purchase agreement for the 3 commercial lots. And it's also contingent upon them getting proper zoning approval. Right? That's,
Yeah, if I could, I'll give you an update on that. We met with them Monday and they presented their plan to the planning commission, which seems like a very viable plan. In order to follow the ordinance, they were instructed to apply for a conditional use permit. And at that time, when they get the conditional use permit in, we have to conduct a public hearing. The nature of the business is it's greenhousing, and our ordinance in the LIBD district says that businesses of this sort need to go through a conditional use. And that's a hearing by the planning commission, notification to the public. Then the planning commission will make a recommendation and refer it to the council for their final say. And they did mention that they have a purchase agreement pending with you, so. So it has passed the initial screening from the planning commission, and I might say favorably that, but we didn't take any action because we can't until the hearing.
Right, and I believe they also mentioned like 10 jobs, right?
The what?
Wasn't it like 10 jobs?
Yeah, there's gonna be jobs and 3 lots involved, and yeah, it seems like a plus for the city.
Living wage jobs
Yeah.
was what I was told.
So now my question with this, and this is probably a Joel question, there were covenants put in place on these individual lots. And the main one being that they build within 2 years, 1 year, 2 years? 2 years, I think. But I don't think there are any recorded covenants with the county on these, because we kind of ran into that issue with one of the lots on Central. So is this something that we add to the purchase agreement as an amendment? Or addendum?
I think what we would have to do is examine the covenants, because the nature of that business is a little different than the covenants we have set up for like just a regular retail business. So I think we'd have to look at that. And then we'd have to look at, update Joel our cannabis laws.
Are you saying that there are no recorded covenants?
There were no recorded covenants on the lots in general, and that issue came up when Central Boulevard, I don't know what number it is, not the first 2 that are on the corner, but the one next to it. They did not build within the time frame, 2 years. They knew what the covenants were because, and I again thought they were recorded on, but they were not. And so when council then went and approached them that, they hadn't built yet, and it was also during that COVID time, so it was iffy, and then council gave them like another year or 2 just because of council and stuff or COVID. And then it ended up that there were no recorded covenants, so they were not legally bound to build.
Yeah, there were some technicalities there, and I don't know if you were involved in that, Joel, or if Mitch was. But it's, was that Edwards Oil?
I'm happy to look to see if there are recorded covenants
Okay.
on those. This is kind of where the stuff gets set up for Peter Mitchell days, is that right over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We own the beer garden, so the beer garden will be safe.
Yeah, I can check. I would, well, they haven't bought it yet.
No.
So if the city wants to put the covenants on there, then we can put the covenants on there.
We can put them on as an addendum.
Yeah, we can put them on all of those lots if we want to have them of record. That might affect whether they want to buy that, whether they can comply with it.
I did talk to Chad about it, and I have covenants like loaded up in the documents section. So that's why it kind of threw me off that they weren't recorded, so.
And we're gonna have to look at the performance standards up there too, because this business is quite different by nature than what we have. So we may have to issue variances or waive some of them or whatever. And I just thought of that, but I'll have to look at that and probably contact Chris Cuevas and get his take on that as well.
Yeah, as far as I know, the main covenants essentially were get a building permit within a year, build within 2 years, similar to Mulberry. And I know Chris put some aesthetics covenants on there.
We did,
Mhm.
and we were
So maybe
thinking
it's
mostly of building types for retail and so on.
Yeah, so it wouldn't just be pole barn alley.
Yeah.
But. And then they can't tax as much.
Yeah, this is gonna be more.
And then also my other question then is, since these are 3 lots, at one time, they are requesting $1,000, purchase price, they're listed at $6,000. So again, my recommendation would be that they've been on the market for so long to sell it and it's 3 of them all at one time. I would go with that price because then you're gonna be in turn getting the tax revenue finally from those properties. In the past, I know the council has been pretty headstrong on the asking price. So that is something that you could either accept, reject, or counter. You know, you could either accept their price, you could reject their price, flat out no and say, nope, 6,000, or you could meet in the middle, or whatever number you want to come in at. And then, the closing for this would be on or before May 30th. Do you think you'd be able to have, is that timeframe work?
I think it'll work. Kirsten, did they come in and get a conditional use permit?
They did this afternoon just before the meeting.
Okay, so
They got it and they turned it in and paid for it.
Yes.
So it's in and paid for.
that should probably be forwarded to the zoning officer, Chris Clivisto. The ordinance calls for him to call for the public hearing. And he needs to do that 7 days before we have the hearing. So just looking at the time frame here, and I know Chris is, I think he's gone with the robotics people right
It's on
now.
today.
Is he? Oh,
It's on
okay,
today.
maybe it was
But
last
maybe
week.
he's flying out around. Could be. But yeah. But I
Okay,
mean, if closing is by May 30th and it's cash, and that should take 2 weeks-ish, right? So,
Yeah.
you know.
well, we can get a public hearing the first week or so of May.
Yeah, timing-wise, it should be fine.
Yeah.
So I can be in communication with him and throw an amendment his way with the covenants on there. And then since it is 3 lots and the covenants are per lot, do you want to make any adjustments on it? He would have to literally build on 3 lots.
Yeah, okay.
And I believe there is growth, right? Anticipated growth, did you talk to him?
Yeah, so he may not need a building on each lot, but
Yep.
still need that space. So in case that needs to
A
come.
larger building and parking and.
Yes,
And I believe when, people who have the old credit union, who is it now, that's Senex, Blomberg's,
Lumber.
Blomberg,
Yeah.
Senex, whatever. They bought the lot adjacent to them and they put a parking lot on there, and I remember being at council and council said that that would be okay to put as the improvement on that lot. Since it was next to.
Well, those, that'll all be part of the discussion. I know they had a real nice prospectus, whatever it is, that they presented, and well done, so.
Dwayne, when they talk to you, do you have any idea how fast they would start building? I'm just curious.
no, but it sounded like they're ready to go. They thought they would already, with what happened with Morris Township.
Right.
They thought they would be at that point already.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt what they'd build this year yet, if
Yes,
everything goes well.
Because I believe one of the other covenants is if you do not build within 2 years, the city gets the land back, because that happens.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a
Yeah,
factor.
but that's not
No,
gonna be an
it
issue.
didn't sound like it.
All right, and that is all what I had for you, so, well, do we have to wait till the next EDA meeting then? For this, which would be in May 21st.
Why would you have to wait?
Maybe accepted contingent upon getting the amendments and proper variances and everything else.
Yeah, it's sort of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Well, I shouldn't say that, should I?
Chicken.
But no, really, yeah, it's certain things have to work together on this. And could we just tentatively approve this
I wouldn't tentatively approve it, I'd conditionally approve it,
additionally? Okay.
Based on the condition subsequent that they obtain that variance. And, I mean, that's, yeah, so,
Or is it conditional use?
yeah,
I
conditional
use the
use or whatever the the requirement is for it.
Okay.
And then what was the other thing?
Just covenants, the amendment for the covenants.
Was the covenant just to build or is it something else?
Well, there's all kinds of, there's performance standards as far as a building, windows and blah, blah, blah. And I'd have to go through that, Joel. I haven't looked at it for a couple of years.
Depending on what those covenants are, then a greenhouse might not, they may be requesting a variance from that covenant requirement anyways.
Right, or were you thinking of redoing the covenants for that?
Well, it would be easier to grant a variance.
Yeah.
You know,
Because, yeah, this is gonna be like a storefront, retail type situation, and that's what
It
the
is or
covenant,
it isn't?
I don't think it is,
Okay.
no. And the covenants
It's
that
more
are
like
created right
manufacturing.
now are for more of a business like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you grant a conditional use permit, you can put conditions on a conditional use permit, you know, as you see fit to be compatible with the area or whatever, so.
So I would actually recess the EDA and close at this time, because it's 6:00.
Okay.
Now we can close.
Take over acting.
Yeah.
Which one?
Who's acting? I think it's Dwayne.
Yes.
Yeah.
So go ahead and close the meeting.
No, recess the EDA and then we'll close the
Oh.
Board of Equalization.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and recess the EDA meeting. And,
Well, if you're recessing that, she can come back up and do it.
yeah,
You can take it away, or does it have to be
No, it
literally me?
doesn't.
Okay. You can do it.
so we're just recessing so they can leave. Yes.
No, you're gonna,
Closing
it's
the-
actually, you're closing it, so the,
Just adjourn the local board of appeal of equalization.
Oh, sure. Yep. So we get a motion to adjourn the local board of appeal and equalization.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Fitzpatrick, second by Lassie. Discussion? All in favor?
Just remember to lower my property value as we talked about.
All in favor?
I,
Conversation never happened.
on the record, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Check my paperwork.
And then you can go back into the EDA.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion to do that?
Actually, yeah, close the regular city council meeting, because that's all that we were open for. You can adjourn the,
Is there a motion to adjourn the regular
I'll move
council?
we adjourn the council meeting.
I'll second that. Motion by Lassie, second by Lossing to adjourn regular council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Open back into the,
back into the EDA.
into the EDA. Do we need a motion for that?
No.
No.
Okay, so,
Good luck with the minutes on that.
She's a pro.
You know, you can fake it because I don't think anybody will remember.
All luck.
so Jim and I have then some homework to do on this. I'll get an amendment put together. You're gonna look at the covenants?
I'll have to look at the,
So I went back and looked to 1992 when the city of Babbitt got it from a mining company. I don't know who this is. but,
Reserve property or?
No, it's actually, well,
Oh,
maybe
before
for
it?
someone,
Cypress.
Cypress, Cypress North Shore.
Oh,
But there's no covenants that are on that from Cypress or that the city put on when they conveyed to the EDA.
we have
And
some.
so, and I don't see anything that the EDA would have put on since then.
Yeah,
So,
it was like in minutes and stuff.
so we
How did we do
could,
the
so
last
then
meeting?
my suggestion would be that we go and we get the copy that was proposed from the minutes to be added to the land at that time. I think that would have been 2008. When it was conveyed from the city to the EDA. We could find those, and then you could review them and see about applying them. However, you have a purchase agreement. If you accept that as it is without a counter or without having the covenants part of that, then it's not gonna apply to this deal. So, you have what sounds like a good economic development plan. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with that. But legally, you would need to counter their purchase agreement offer with those changes, incorporating the covenants. And then you would have to deal with those covenants as it might apply to these specific lots for their proposed use under the conditional use, because it might not satisfy the requirements of the covenant that's not on there yet anyways. So maybe best not to include anything with the covenants on this proposed sale, but that's up to you, whether you think it's in the city's best interest to do that. Yeah. I think I made that confusing enough, I suppose.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
quite
Makes
confusing.
sense to me. But we could also do this, since we're having a special council meeting next week, we could also
Post
have a
as a-
special EDA meeting then, right after.
You could.
That gives you,
Yeah, it'll give me a chance to look up, because I know we do have regulations and performance standards that we adopted a few years back
yeah, I
for
remember
the
that too.
LIBD.
And yeah, but I think it never got reported.
LIBD, what is
Light
that?
industrial.
It's Light Industrial Business District.
Okay,
This was my creation, because we had light industrial up there years ago, with the furniture. And then we wanted to develop that area, but we wanted to let in certain types of manufacturing.
And
So
it's-
I
so
said,
that's-
let's go light industrial
so that's part of
business.
the zoning ordinance.
We
for how-
made it,
Well, the covenants were, like building.
Well, but he's standards, which would be under the zoning ordinance.
yeah, we've got
And that would-
those.
That's
and
gonna
then,
apply to them,
Mhm.
that would not be
Right,
a part of the
Yeah.
transfer of title. So,
Right, but just not the covenants.
But I'll know more later when I get a chance to look at that. Because I think we got covenants and then we have special things, because we were looking at flooding and building and elevations
Right,
and,
the flooding. That has to
so-
be approved, I believe, by Chris before any building happens, right?
yeah.
I think that's like part of the process.
So I'm just looking if I can get a hold of Cuevas, so if he publishes a notice on the 25th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if I can get a public hearing by May 1st. Might have to hold a special meeting with the planning commission the week of the May 5th through the 10th, and hold a public hearing then. Probably get it to hold later in the afternoon so people can come. I'll have to work that out.
Don't you have to do something about cannabis too? Do we have any?
Well, yeah, I was gonna mention that to Joel. This one we have for retail of cannabis, and I think White Lakes and Ely both have ordinance that deal with the greenhousing of it. Would you have time to look at that and to see what we need to tweak?
Yeah.
We do have something on the books as far as the retail use, but we have nothing to regulate or permit a greenhousing thing like what they're talking about.
I have a question. Do you have something on the books for edible? Is it just for edibles? The ordinance that I see is just
So-
edibles. Did you guys do the other ordinance for that?
I'd have to look at that, because I think what we've done is we held off on developing too much about the cannabis because the state of Minnesota has been keep changing, so.
so several of the cities are in the same place
Yeah.
of modifying either what they had. I think most cities right away did a prohibition against the smoking of cannabis.
Yep, we've got that.
That one.
That was kind of like the first thing. Some cities now are modifying those existing ordinances
Yep,
to include, now that there's more information, other aspects
Yeah.
of the business. So the micro and meso business, growing edibles, consumables.
I think we modified our ordinance for the edibles. And was it the tobacco ordinance or did we do a brand new?
We implemented a new ordinance pertaining to the sale of edible CBD products. There is also another ordinance that was enacted pertaining to the smoking of cannabis on
Yep.
public property being prohibited.
But nothing.
So this would be in addition to that for retail businesses
Yeah.
and different things like that.
Well, I know White Lakes has theirs. I've got the copy of theirs. Ely updated theirs, two of them in December of last year. So they have two, and then they gotta be fairly current, as I don't know what the legislature has done this year. So, but maybe you could check that out, Joel, and see what we need to do.
I can forward you Aurora's ordinance too pertaining to the licensing and retail portion of it.
Yep.
They have been amending their ordinance as state regulations come out. So they are regulating theirs this month again, or not regulating, amending it again this month. So theirs is up to date following state statute.
Okay. So what do we need to do? Do a price? Set a price for this?
Well, we can either table this till the special meeting, you know, the
Okay.
things we have to, determine is if you're okay with the price, and if you're okay with the closing date, and then I need to let them know about the covenants.
Okay,
And then,
What's the price difference?
$1,000 per lot, $3,000 total. That's, my recommendation was to go for it, but
How long have these lots been for sale?
I have been licensed for about 22 years, and I think they have been for sale for 22 years.
The city of
Or
Babbitt's
21
had them
years.
since 1993.
And I think it would be in the best interest of the city to sell them.
You could make a motion to accept their purchase agreement contingent on the other things. Or you could wait and take it up if you're gonna do a special EDA.
You can do either, and I can just let, Chad know. It's just one more week.
yeah, let's do it at our special.
So one of you should call for, who's running this? You, are you
Yes.
running this? Yeah. Call for a motion to table the 3 purchase agreements until the special meeting.
Okay. We have a motion to table the purchase agreements.
Go ahead, Don.
I'll make the motion to table the 3 purchase agreements until the special meeting.
Motion by
Oh, I'll
Fitzpatrick,
second.
second by Lassie, discussion. None. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay,
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
you just wanna stay that way, don't you?
I just like it.
That's it, right? We're done. We have a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Motion by Lassie,
I'll second.
second by Fitzpatrick. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There, quarter after 6.
Hey, not too bad. It's